Do you start strong but always lose momentum after a few weeks? Are you making plans but never building habits that last? Have you been learning for months but still can't hold a simple conversation? Hey there, my name is Vitek, I'm 29 and I'm from Poland. I've been learning foreign languages since I can remember, and I now speak 6 of them, including English and German at certified C2 level. My language learning routines are very solid. So solid, in fact, that I can quit my job to travel the world like I've been doing for almost 11 months now, and I still come back to the same patterns whenever I have a less busy day. It's not magic. I'm just leveraging my nature and using my weaknesses to my favor. While reflecting about this topic, I noticed that I might actually be more of a systems guy than I realize. When you have a good system or strong habit, you don't have to think about what your next steps should be. When the time to study rolls around, it's easy to dive right in. I noticed it's easier to lose momentum when I don't have clarity on what my next steps are. Consider this. I'm a YouTube addict. Give me a free afternoon, and I'll spend it on YouTube. Give me a week off and I'll spend it on YouTube. Except that I don't watch almost anything in my native Polish. In fact, today I didn't. I don't even remember when the previous time was. Maybe months ago. I just watch it in all the other languages. And I can see that you're here on YouTube too. So this might be an obvious point to start with. Spend an afternoon looking for some channels in your target language that you might like and give a few videos a try. YouTube will then recommend you what it thinks you might like too. Their interest is to keep you on the platform for as long as they can, and their algorithms are known to be very powerful. Don't fight them. Use them to your advantage. There you go. You're now going to be learning languages the next time you compulsively open YouTube. Same thing if you're watching short videos, by the way. Personally, I find shorts to be a little bit too addictive, so I made a point to delete them from my life. But if you're already watching Reels, Shorts, or TikToks, then go feed the algorithm with something in your target language. Just make sure to actually watch it then, or else the gods of the algorithm will stop showing it to you. YouTube works best when you're already at least at the lower intermediate level, but you can also learn on YouTube as a beginner. In fact, yours truly learned the basics of French on French with Alexa. It's easy to pick a video to watch and study next, so it's relatively straightforward to build a habit around it. But an even better habit builder would be the Babbel app. What? You've already heard about it from me? No way. You know what? Maybe instead of repeating myself every time, I will one day make an entirely separate video about the Babbel app. Or even a tutorial, because there are better and worse ways to use it. It will be linked somewhere here, hopefully. Admittedly, most courses have the advantage of knowing what the next step is. I looked back to the periods when I was the most consistent with language learning to figure out what my strongest habits were. Babbel works well, YouTube works incredibly well. I also remember doing the Inner French B1 and B2 courses, that is, Build a Strong Core and Raconte ton histoire, respectively, and these were some of my most consistent periods. The courses had a total of around 60 classes. Each of them took me about 30 to 45 minutes to complete, and I did both of them in around 3 months or so. That's very close to my peak consistency. But courses can be tricky because they're not all the same. I bought a course from RKL and I don't have a strong habit doing it. Whether it's my fault or the course's fault, I can tell. I will finish it someday, and that's what matters. But buying courses and not finishing them is a very known phenomenon, so be careful with that. Another time when I was very consistent was when I decided to listen to the entire backlog of Inner French podcasts episodes. I would listen to them before work for the most part. Back in Luxembourg, I would work 3 days from the office and 2 days from home. So I would listen to the episodes either during the commute or while getting ready for home office. I skipped a few episodes that felt more boring than others, and they're still in my backlog, but I was very consistent anyway. It worked wonders. When I booked my first French conversation class long into my podcast streak, I was actually shocked how well I did. I'm not sure I really improved that much since then. While we were at it, I had a killer habit around conversation classes on Italki, which is where I would book them. I have a thing for planning ahead. I love putting things into my calendar in advance. Weird, I know. But there were few things that I actually enjoyed as much as buying packages with my tutors on Italki and then scheduling them out and entering them into my own calendar. It worked crazy well, especially considering that I don't actually look forward to conversation classes. I'm shy, and I like doing my own things. So half a day before the class, I start dreading it a bit. But italki won't let you cancel it that little in advance, which is perfect. I mean, you can still talk to your teacher and move the class, but that's also an inconvenience. I may as well go take the class when it's booked, and once I'm in the classroom with the teacher, I'm enjoying it again. I mean, some days are better than others. Sometimes I feel like I forgot 90% of what I already knew, but on other days I feel fluent and invincible. I used this system to clock in more than 200 hours on italki between 2022 and 2024. That's an average of more than 2 hours per week, and there were more intense periods. Not bad for someone who doesn't like the idea of an upcoming conversation class, but the best way to learn to speak is to speak. So if I wanted to actually be able to use the language in real life, which I did, there would be no way around that. The other times when I was the most consistent in my life were motivated by events, like signing up for an exam that I have to study for, a conference where I would have to submit a paper and prepare a presentation, or an upcoming trip that I just wanted to prepare for. But I still had structures around it. While preparing for my C2 exam in German, first we would review my written assignment. That was just before ChatGPT, or maybe I just didn't know about it yet. Then make a mock oral exam, and then we would just chat for the rest of the class. Before my trips to Uzbekistan and Peru, I booked more Spanish and Russian conversation classes respectively. Another very strong habit, perhaps too strong, that I have developed over the years is looking up words when I encounter them, mostly while reading books or watching videos, but also in any other contexts, and to note them down. I don't have systems around reviewing them later, that's true. It's probably one of the biggest weaknesses of mine. But just that extra attention that I pay to a word, for those 10 seconds even, must do more than nothing. Otherwise, I just wouldn't have been able to pass my C2 exams, which require you to know a load of words and phrases, even if I feel like I'm still learning new ones all the time. Side note, I'm reading a book about the history of New Zealand now, and noting down words slows me down a lot. And one must be careful with that, because if it's a language that you're not yet advanced in, you might be tempted to note down too much, and this will overwhelm you. I used to have the issue of not wanting to read because of not wanting to make notes. Luckily, this doesn't really happen that much to me anymore. After so many years of doing it, I have a good sense of how much I can look up and note down without burning out. I simply allow myself to not take notes when I don't feel like it. One bonus method that I personally don't use in language learning, but that is extremely effective and that I use in other areas of my life, is accountability. Humans are social creatures, and the engagement of other people in our own project changes a lot about our motivation. It's great to use as a system. I played accountability buddy for my wife, my mom, and a friend of mine, and I do believe that they clocked in a few dozen more hours of language practice than if it weren't for me. Sign up to my newsletter and hit reply on my welcome email if you want me to play accountability buddy for you. I'll make sure to get back to you. And yeah, as I say these words, I do that all for free. So if things haven't been working out the way you wanted in your language learning, you have nothing to lose by texting me and asking for some assistance. In the end, despite all this, there are times when you will simply fall out of track, despite your habits and systems. Go watch this video next, in which I talk about the role that pure sheer discipline plays in my language learning and how I strategically make use of it. I'll see you there.